begins. This is where you give me wings, wings of hope, wings of peace. This is where it all begins. This is where it all begins. This is where you give me wings, wings of hope, wings of peace. This is where it all begins. You are my everything. You're the reason for my being. Help me to bring your love to all. Teach me no fear. Be my light and be my song. Help me to bring your love to all. This is where it all.
When Jesus in me is loving Jesus in you, we are entering into the life of the Trinity. And that is both amazing, but as you said earlier, it's also always surprising.
Yeah, it is. Also because the place where we meet, if it's me, Jesus, you, Jesus, is Jesus. So it's Jesus among us.
Yes.
So it's not simply two subjectivities mixing things together. It's opening ourselves up to the one who is the truth. And I find that totally amazing. But there's a lot of resonances with other things that happened at that meeting, which I think is good to recall. And this is particularly, I'm thinking of the stuff to do with synodality.
Yes.
It's a tough word. I've heard people trying to understand it in the past. You know, it's helpful, I suppose, if we starting of sin together. Hodos, way.
Yeah.
Together, on the way. So it's walking together on the way.
Yeah.
And that clearly recalls things like the Emmaus Road and this journey we're on to discover Jesus more deeply. I think one of the, for me, very attractive things that the Roman Catholic Church is doing in this whole synodal process that they're living through still is that they're not doing it as purely an internal Catholic thing. Obviously, they're taking it in terms of how they change they're changing themselves, not everybody else, but they want to do it together with all the other churches and even other religions, so all of humanity's experience with God. That's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
But I think it comes from actually a deep inner sense of faith and of reassurance that Jesus is the truth. And as we listen to him also speaking through others, or speaking in others, to everybody's discoveries of truth, then those who listen learn. And that's and we learn because of the encounter. At the final synod thing, they had these tables with people, you know, in the synod about synodality, and they were all on the same level.
Yes.
People from different churches.
Yes.
And in Roman Catholic terms, it's a bit amazing that there were lay people as well as clerics, and there were men and women.
And that is a challenge to the sort of usual traditional patterns, and a great risk, and therefore a great act of faith in itself.
Yeah, but I think it's a wonderful thing because synodality, to use that term, is something that characterises Christianity throughout the ages. But the churches that have used it, as it were, as their way of being, are all the churches apart from the Roman Catholic Church.
Yes.
I'm not saying the Roman Catholic Church has no experience of synodality, but now it's not been the thing it's measured on, let's say. But
You referred to the "here I stand, I can do no other" mentality, and even hearing the experiences at our meeting of the the Roman Catholic synodality, my Reformed Church and Moravian here I stand bit of pride and pomposity says, well, we've always done things synodally. At last the Roman Catholic Church is in a position to learn from us. And instantly that is challenged by the recognition, well, it's actually about how I learn to see the Roman Catholic Church with fresh eyes, not judgmental eyes, and recognise that out of this experience that they're now living, there's stuff that can enrich me. That's and right. There's food for my prayers for the Roman Catholic Church too.
That's exactly it. So we can all learn from each other.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's really important. Just saying, here I am, I can do no other. That's attributed to Luther.
Indeed.
He probably didn't say that, but he certainly didn't mean it in the sense of, I'm defining the truth myself. So it's not a knock at Luther. It's merely a way of characterising a particular mentality, which then is overcome when we, or broadened out, when we enter into these sort of synodal or synodical relationships. Synodality, when we appreciate it, means that for the Roman Catholics, they appreciate, they do appreciate more what's going on, has gone on, and is going on in the other churches, but we, other churches who have synodality at all our different levels, have a lot to learn from them too.
Absolutely.
And that's really, I think, part of the point of ecumenism, that we can begin to learn from each other, because God is not niggardly in giving his gifts. There's lots of gifts to all of the churches. And that's one of the things that drives the need for ecumenism, I think, because it's about our spiritual health.
Yeah.
And as we become healthy, then we become more adequate as servants of the rest of humanity.
Yes.
And that brings us back to one of the sort of key urgencies of ecumenism, and that's the disastrous state of the world as things get worse and darken. But if we become fit instruments, we can become part of God's response to the world.
Yes, and the church becomes more effective in ministering healing and reconciliation and hope when it's not just speaking with a common voice, but speaking from a common soul.
Absolutely. The soul is the Holy Spirit.
That's right.
And that's a wonderful thing, because then we're bringing the reality of God into the world, and that he then touches and heals. That's just an amazing fact, really. The fact that the church is made for the salvation of the whole of humanity. And not in an empirical.
As well as the urgency of unity being a focus for the meeting happening when it did this year, there's a sort of confluence of triggers or springboards for ecumenism in it being the 60th anniversary of the beginnings of reconciliation between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox churches. The fact that it's a jubilee year for the Roman Catholic Church. The fact that, relatively unusually, it's a year in which the date of Easter is the same for Orthodox churches with the Julian calendar and the Western churches with the Gregorian calendar. Plus the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, which was a council that took place before the church divided and which established a basis of understanding who the church is in relation to Father, Son and Holy Spirit, and countering serious sources of division in doctrine that get labelled heresies at the time, a deep exploration, a deep thirst for the Holy Spirit to guide the council into truth in a way that could express a common belief that people could not necessarily recite every day or every week, but say, yes, this is the grounding of how I understand my relationship with God to be.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, the creed, both at Nicaea and then its developed form in 381 in Constantinople, actually seems to me it's a wonderful thing because it crystallizes our experience of God.
Yes.
Or crystallizes an expression of that experience and therefore protects it and helps us to live it more deeply. But I think one of the things that strikes me as so relevant about that emerged in the meeting was that at that meeting there were Christians of all different sorts.
Yes.
And living a deep relationship of unity.
Mm.
And it's that deep relationship that means that we are already tasting something of God in our lives.
Yeah.
We're tasting what Jesus was praying for as he died in the evening of his death. You know, may they all be one as you and I are one. May they be one in us. We're tasting the life of God himself, the life of the Trinity, which has been somewhat drawn out in terms of the ideas and the understanding of it in the Creed. But first of all, it's a life, and it's our life. And I think it was wonderful at the meeting to be able to live that then with people of all different churches, and different shades of understanding.
Yes. And I found my prejudices and limitations of knowledge challenged by discovering how many people were present from the Philippines, but the fact that they represented well over a dozen different church denominations from within the Philippines. Yeah. I think that at our largest number, including people that were with us electronically, we were in the 300s, and we were from well over 40 different nationalities and a huge range and a number of 2 different Catholic rites, at least 4 different branches of the Orthodox Church that I came across, and then all the different bits of the Reformed Church, the Lutheran Church, and then all the independent Pentecostal and evangelical churches and so on. It was such a rich encounter. And I really loved the metaphor you used in one of your talks about the church being a rose window that has stained glass that is designed to let the light of the sun through, and that has coherent patterns that tell a story and present as a unity, but the rose window's been blown in and fallen on the floor and shattered, and is in lots of bits that are still beautiful and still parts of a whole, but fragmented. And as you've said, the fact that we were there experiencing a foretaste of the unity that's the life of God, we were not just recognising that the fragmentation of the church, but we were actually doing something positive to put the pieces back together, as well as being stimulated and encouraged with recognising that hope isn't a pipe dream, it's a reality. And it's one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit, and it's one of the things that Paul says will last, along with faith and love. And so we were being energised to go forward in hope, as well as actually having a practical experience of how to put the church together.
And I think it's important that it was happening within the context of the Focolare movement.
Yes.
Because the Focolare movement, with its charism, its gift, of unity, so its gift of unity, is an instrument within the church, and drawing from the churches, but also going out to all of humanity, but an instrument of ferment, possibly a better word, of unity, of the life of unity.
Yes.
I was struck that the President, Margaret Karam, and the Vice President, but the co-President, Jesus Moran, were both there the entire time, apart from the final little session when we were doing sort of a mop-up of what had happened. But knowing the weight of responsibility that they bear, and also the heavy schedules they have, that was quite significant. And having or trying to have a bit of a sensitivity for what's growing in the sort of the Focolare movement, it did seem to me that there was a raising of awareness, and certainly an importance given by the presidency to ecumenical dialogue. And I think that raising of awareness is something that needs to grow. It certainly needs to grow in the churches, because we all speak well of ecumenism and of Jesus' prayer before he died. But we certainly don't give many resources to ecumenism. In the Focolare movement, we too need to kind of raise our awareness. Yeah. And the reason why it matters, I think, is, as we were saying, or as we have said before, is that ecumenism is a response to the world as it is.
Yeah.
But it is also a key dialogue. It basically opens up the other dialogues.
Yes.
And
it struck me strongly talking to a lot of people who had no particular connection to the Focolare movement or knowledge of it even, that it was the focus on encounter and unity that attracted them. And the meeting was about... It wasn't about promoting the Focolare movement, either its spirituality or what it actually does. It was about providing a forum of deep encounter to enable and enrich all of us in our own contexts to commit more urgently towards dialogue, unity, encounter, service of humanity. And another aspect was, and from representatives, very senior representatives, the Vatican Dicastery for promoting Christian unity and for the family, the World Council of Churches, the World Baptist Fellowship, the World Lutheran Organization, and all of that, and people who are spearheading major initiatives, both promoting unity and the service of humanity. All recognizing the power of the charism of unity that's been entrusted to the Focolare movement. And for many people, it was simply an encounter with a particular individual that had enabled them to become aware of this meeting happening and discover that they wanted to be there. And another thing in terms of personal encounter that struck me very strongly, going on from what you've said about Margaret Karam and Jesus Moran, it struck me observing them while they were present among us, that given all the other major responsibilities and commitments they have, that the deep personal encounter in conversations with individuals and small groups of people, that they really embodied the importance of being a gift for the other.
Yeah.
And in hierarchical terms, you might say, well, they're really important people, and who am I in relation to them? But in all those moments, and goodness knows how many hundreds of people that they had personal conversations with during those 3 days, but they were really focused and really present. And that takes a huge amount of energy out of you, physically and emotionally as well, but they gave that willingly.
Yeah, I think, though, that that's related to something which is right at the heart of it all, and that unity is about personal encounters.
Yes.
And so we're meeting in God, we're sharing in the life of God, but it is still only happening because it is a personal encounter. But the implications are huge. And certainly it builds up relationships between Christians, and therefore heals the rift among Christians when we share that kind of life together, that personal encounter. And then certainly it has a big impact for the world. But that has a huge implication, I think, because it means that whenever we meet in that way, we're making, in effect, a strong political act.
Yeah.
And I think that is where hope for the world exists. We have it in our hands. We're not impotent. We can already start. Yeah. So thank you.
Help me to find you, Lord, in everyone that comes my way. Teach me to sing the song of love. This is where it all begins. This is where you give me wings, wings of hope, wings of peace. This is where it all begins. This is where it all begins. This is where it all begins.